Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make that poncho slash shawl that you just saw in the picture. So as you can see, it has 5 buttons on it. Now these are 1-inch buttons, and they were purchased at 1-inch wooden buttons. There's 5 of them. They were purchased at Amazon, and they were sewn on with a regular thread and needle. And then I used the just the double crochet holes here from the other side to button it up all the way down. So that's what would make it form. And then the collar folds, and that's kind of what the picture looks like whenever it looks like the poncho there. Now magically you can unbutton it, sorry about my tails there, and you can use it as a rectangle shawl. So here are the stitches, very easy to do. You need to know how to do a, actually it's probably an intermediate pattern. I'm going to consider it intermediate. You need to know how to do both front and back post double crochets, a regular double, regular triple, and single. If you know how to do all them, then you should be able to do this. But again, it's not, it's more intermediate because of the post stitches. Fringe is optional. Now mine measures without the fringe, long ways, unbuttoned, 62 inches. And then I got about 4 inches of fringe on each side. You don't have to put that if you don't want to. And then on the short side here, from top to bottom, measures about 20 inches. And then I got about 4 inches of fringe on the bottom. I think it turned out really cool. I mean, I like it a lot. I like it folded up like a poncho. It looks really cool. And you know what? These are my colors. I love these colors. Golds and rusts and avocado greens, olive greens. That's just me. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Okay, for this project, I used the Mandala roving yarn. Now, I purchased this online at Joann's. It is a lightweight 3. I consider it more in between a 3 and a 4. So you could use any lightweight 3 or any 4 weight would work also. The size difference probably wouldn't be extremely too much because, in my opinion, that's pretty much, it's close to a 4 weight, but it is a roving yarn, so it does go a little bit thinner sometimes. Now there's 415 yards in this cake, and I used almost all of 3 cakes, so you're going to need a little over 1,200 yards so if you want the fringe, that is 1,200 yards. If you don't want the fringe, you're still going to need probably, I didn't even use hardly any fringe, so you're probably going to need like 1150 at least. The fringe I used didn't really take up very much. I put very light fringe on it. Now it is a 100% acrylic yarn, but remember, you don't have to use this. Any lightweight 3 yarn or 4 weight yarn will work. This is not the color I used. The color I used is called Hayloft. I just do not have any more of it, so I'm going to show you with this color. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Okay, I'm going to show you on a smaller scale because I already got my big piece done. Now, if you want to follow along with me with the size that I did, I chained 177 stitches. Now, if you want to make yours a different size, your chain just needs to be an odd number. Any odd number will work, but follow along with me, and I chained 177. So we're going to start out with row 1, and we are going to do a double crochet in the 4th stitch from the hook. Now remember, we do not count the one that's on our hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we double crochet in that 4th stitch. And we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch for the length of our chain. So row 1 is just 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get to the end of the row. Okay, once you get to the end of row 1, following me, you should have a total of 175 stitches, and that is counting this chain on the end here. This little guy right here, he counts as a stitch. So counting him, you'll have 175. Now 175 is a magic number. That's what we're going to have at the end of every row from now on. So row 2 is going to start the repeat. It's a 6-row repeat. So rows 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are the repeat rows. Don't be intimidated though, because they're not hard. So we're going to start row 2 by chaining 1 and turning our work. Now we're going to start off by putting 1 double crochet right here into this very first stitch. And now we're going to work a back post double crochet into the next. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to go from the back of the stitch around the post like that. So the back of the post is on the back of our hook, and then we go ahead and do our double crochet. And then we're going to put a regular double crochet in the top of the next stitch. And then we're going to back post double crochet into the next. And then we're going to put a regular double crochet into the top of the next. And that's the repeat for row 2. It's just a back post double into the next. And a regular double into the top of the next. Back post double into the next. And a regular double into the top of the next. So I'm going to repeat this. Back post double into the next, and then just a regular double into the top of the next. Back post double, regular double, back post double, regular double, all the way until I get to the end of row 2. All right, I'm coming to the end of row 2. I just did a back post double, and then I have this 1 stitch left here on the end. I'm going to go ahead and just put a regular double crochet into the top of that. Just like that. 175 stitches is what you'll have at the end of row 2. So we're going to start row 3 by chaining 1 and turning our work. And when you turn, you can see your post stitches now on the front. So I'm going to start off by putting a double crochet right here in this very first stitch. We're on row 3 now. And then I'm going to put a front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch. So we're just kind of keeping our posts lined up. So front post double this time. And the next stitch is just a regular double crochet into the top of the next. And then front post double crochet into the next. Regular double into the top of the next. And front post double into the top of the next. And that's what we're going to repeat now for row 3. Regular double and front post double. Regular double and front post double. And we're going to repeat that until we get to the end of the row. And you can see your post stitches, you can see them a lot better now. So I'm just going to keep repeating that until I get to the end of row 3. Okay, I've made it to the end of row 3. I did a front post double crochet. I have 1 stitch left, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a double crochet into the top of that last stitch. That'll end row 3, and you should have a total of 175 stitches now. Row 4, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. Now what we're going to do is put a single crochet into this very first stitch. And now we're going to put a triple crochet into the next. So we yarn over twice for a triple. Go into the stitch, and then we do triple crochet. That. And then we're going to single into the next. Then we're going to do a triple crochet into the next. and single into the next. And that's what we're going to repeat now for row 4. Triple crochet into the next, and single into the next. Triple into the next, and single into the next. And we're going to repeat that triple, single, triple, single, triple, single, all the way until we get to the end of the row. And the reason why we're working on the back side, and when you turn it over, the triples make little bitty tiny puffs, I guess is what you call them, just to add some extra texture. But you got to work it on the back side for it to work out. So I'm going to continue working my triple crochet, single crochet, repeat until I get to the end of the row. So there's triple and single. Triple and single, just like that. Alright, I've made it to the end of row 4. I just did a triple crochet and I have 1 stitch left, and I'm going to go ahead and end by single crocheting into that last stitch. So row 5, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work, and when you look, turn it, you can see the bobbles, little bitty tiny bobbles there on the front. Now what I'm going to do for a row 5 is I'm going to put a single crochet into the first stitch, and I'm going to put a single crochet into every single stitch all the way across. So 1 right here into the top of this triple crochet, and then there's a single crochet next. I got to go into that one, and then on top of this triple, and then I got to go into the single, and then on top of the triple, and then in the single. So it's just 1 single crochet in every stitch across until you get to the end of row 5. Just like that. Alright, when you make it to the end of row 5, we are going to chain 1 and turn for row 6. Now row 6, we're just going to repeat what we did on row 4. That's where we single crochet into the very first stitch, and then we triple crochet into the next. Single crochet into the next, and then triple into the next. Single crochet into the next, and then triple into the next. So I'm going to repeat this for row 6. Single crochet, triple crochet, repeat, just like we did on row 4, until I get to the end of my row. And that's creating those little bobbles again, or little puffs on the other side. So triple crochet, single, triple crochet, single, until you get to the end of your row. Alrighty, I'm coming to the end of row 6. In my last, I just did a triple crochet. I have 1 stitch left. I'm going to go ahead and single crochet into that last stitch. Row 7 is our last row of the repeat. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. And we are going to put a double crochet right here into that very first stitch. And then we're just going to work across, putting 1 double crochet in every stitch until we get to the end of the row. So we're putting a double crochet into every triple crochet and every single crochet from the previous row. Just like that. So I'm going to continue across, putting 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get to the end of row 7. All right, I've made it to the end of row 7. Now all we're going to do is repeat rows 2 through 7. So row 8 would be the chain 1 and turn, and we do a double crochet, back post, double crochet, back post, double, back post, all the way to the end. And the next row would be where we did the front post. And so it's just keep repeating rows 2 through 7 until you get it as wide as you want it to be. Now I did a total of 51 rows, but it makes a really neat texture once you get some length on it. It's really cool looking. So you just keep repeating rows 2 through 7 until you get a total of 51 rows. Okay, once you get your total of 51 rows done, remember you can make it longer if you want to, but I stopped on the front post double crochet row. That's where I ended on the bottom. Now, and then I just tied off. Now I'm going to go back up to the top here where I started, and I'm just going to do a row of single crochet at the top here to clean up this top edge. So I'm going to go ahead and take my yarn. I'm just going to go ahead and start in the first stitch here. Make sure you have the right side of your work facing you. I'm going to go into that first stitch, and then I am going to chain 1. And then I'm going to go back into the same stitch and single crochet. And then I'm going to work across, and I'm going to single crochet in every stitch all the way across. This is just going to clean up that edge, because if you notice it might have a little bit of a curl to it, and that's just because of the post stitches. This should straighten out that curl and give it a nice clean edge on it. So I'm going to work all the way across here, the top edge, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch until I get all the way to the end of the row. Just like that. Yeah, it straightens it out nicely. So I'll meet back up with you right at the end of this row. Okay, once you make it to the end, now what we're going to do is just go ahead. I just did my last single crochet. Should have 175 because that's what we, that's what our chain was at the end of row 1. And when you get to the end, if you feel like it's still curving too much for you at the top, you can do another row or 2 or single crochet to straighten it out even more. But I'm going to stop at this 1 row. Go ahead and clip that yarn. And then you want to take a second to hide any remaining tails. And if you choose to add fringe, we're going to put fringe on it. And if you want to put the buttons on it, you can. Otherwise, you can keep it just as a rectangle shawl like it is. But let me go ahead and hide some tails. And then I'm going to apply some buttons and some fringe on mine. Okay, now I'm going to place my buttons. So I am going to fold my piece in half here. I never have a lot of room on my table, but I'll do the best that I can here. So I'm at the top here. Here's the top of my work where we just put that row of single crochet. That's going to be the top. Now we want to count up 55 stitches this way, and then 55 stitches on the opposite piece, and then we'll put a stitch marker there, because then that's going to be our neck opening, what we leave open up there. And then we'll put buttons down actually on the inside row here. We'll sew buttons, and then we'll be able to button them together like that. Okay, so let me go ahead and get a stitch marker. Okay, so I have got, I'll show you what I did here. I counted, here is where my opening is, and I folded it in half. I counted 55 stitches up on this piece and this piece, and bottom, but right here it's hooked together at the 55th stitch. So now if you want to sew buttons, remember you do not have to do this. I'm actually, instead of sewing them, I said I was going to sew them on the inside. You can sew them on the inside if you want. I think I'm going to sew them on the opposite side, and then that way they will button up like that. But if you prefer it to button like that, that's fine too. The seam will probably flip open a bit. So that's why I'm going to, so here is my piece. This is how you have to have it set up. I hope I'm not being too confusing. Right where we counted up 55 stitches here, and I marked it off, held it together with a stitch marker. This is going to be our neck opening. Now, if you want your neck opening bigger, you're more than welcome to move your marker down to however big as you want, but it will fold up a bit. So, here's my piece. This is going to be the front. This is the back side. I'm going to flip it over to where the back side is facing me. So this is the right side of the back of your shawl / poncho thing that we're making here. And this is where we're going to sew the buttons. You can use, these are 1-inch buttons. You can use whatever size you have. I don't think we're going to use these holes as buttonholes. I don't think too much bigger than 1 inch will, maybe 1.25 inches would probably be okay. But, you know, you don't want to do 2-inch buttons. I don't think those will fit through the holes. But what I'm going to do is count up. See our post stitches? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 post stitches. And then I'm going to sew one on right there on the 5th one. Then I'll count again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the next one, I'm going to sew one right there on that one. So there's 4 post stitches between my buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here on the next one, I'll sew my button. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here on the next one, I'll sew my button. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4. And here on the next one, I'll sew my button. And you'll have 2 post stitches, if you did it like me, that remain before your stitch marker. Now, if you want to do them closer together, add more buttons, that's fine. This is just a rough draft example. This is just how I'm doing mine. You do not have to do it this way. But remember, this is the back side of our shawl, but the right side of the work is facing you. So once we get them sewed on, they're going to be on the back. But then the front side right here, they're not sewed on yet, so they're going to fall. But the front side right here will flip over and button to them like that through these post stitch spaces. So what you want to do now is go ahead and sew on your buttons. You can use a regular sewing thread if you want, and a sewing needle, or you can use yarn, whatever you have. Make sure you use a yarn needle that is big enough to go through your holes. So I'm going to go ahead and get them buttons sewed on. I just want to be clear, remember, this is the back of our work. We sew our buttons on the back side. And then the front, this is the front. When we flip it over, it'll button to them like that. So go ahead and sew your buttons on real quick. Alright, I got my buttons sewed on. I just used a regular thread needle. Now I'm just going to go ahead and remove this stitch marker here that was holding the pieces together. Now we can flip it around to the right side. So you can see when you flip it around to the right side, the buttons are on the back. And that's what we want. So now we're just going to line it up. And we will flip them over and we will match them up here and go through the posts here as a buttonhole. So right through the post will be what we use as buttonholes. Like that. And we'll do that all the way up the front here, and that's how we'll have it together. Now I'm going to add fringe to mine. You don't have to, but if you want to, I'll show you how. I'm going to do that. Let me get this buttoned up here real quick. I'm kind of just counting. I know we skipped 4, and then we sewed it in on that 5th one, so I'm kind of going right. The post, we skipped 4 posts in between the buttons, and then we sewed it on that 5th post, so I'm kind of just going right in front of that 5th post and using that as a buttonhole, but just whatever works, whatever holds it together. Look at that. Looking good, huh? And there we got it. Remember, you can add more buttons if you want, or less buttons, or no buttons, or however you want to do it. It's your poncho, or your shawl, or... But anyways, now, and this collar, if you're doing it like me, it'll fold over like that. So I'm going to add a fringe too, all around the bottom, and up both of these sides. So, show you how I'm going to do that. Now, you can put the fringe, you know, however thick you want it, and you can space it however you want to your liking. I'm probably not going to put like super thick fringe. So, I cut some pieces, and they're approximately 8 inches long. I'm going to take 2 pieces that are about 8 inches long. Okay, I'm going to start down here in the bottom. I'm on the bottom. See how it's folded? And I'm just going to go through the first stitch. So you go up from underneath like this. And you grab your 2 strings. You can put more if you want. If you want thicker fringe, you could do 5 or 6 strings together, whatever you want. Like that. And then you kind of line them up at the bottom. And you put your fingers in here and you grab them and pull them through. Like that. Okay, I'm going to skip 4 stitches here along the bottom between my fringe. So I did this first one, then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, skip it. And in the next one, I'm going to start my fringe. So I'm going to go from, put my hook from the underneath, grab my yarn and pull it through. And then I grab it like this. Make sure these are relatively even at the bottom. And then pull them through. Like that. Remember, if you want yours closer, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to do it again. This is what I'm going to do all along the bottom. So I'm going to grab 2 more. I'm going to skip 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next one, I'll go take my hook and go from underneath my piece. Pull my yarn through. Even these up. And do that. So that's what I'm going to do all along the bottom. Now the sides, I'm just going to try to maybe keep the spacing about the same. So I'm going to grab 2 pieces and probably just go maybe up 1, 2, 3 rows or something. You know, just kind of guess and kind of keep the whatever space you put at the bottom between your fringe, kind of try to keep it the same on the sides. You know, it doesn't have to be exact, but just kind of similar like that. See, I kind of try to keep it this space about the same as that space. And that's what I'm going to do all the way up the sides. So I say I probably left about 1 inch in between, maybe. Doesn't remember, it doesn't have to be exact. I don't think anybody's going to come up and stare at your fringe and with a tape measure. If they did, then they got problems. There we go, just like that. So I'm going to continue fringing my piece all the way up this side, up here to where our buttons are, and then I'll do the same along the bottom other side, and then I'm going to fringe all the way around the whole long piece. So all the way around to where it folds, and then back around the other side, back over here to the bottom. All right, once you get done fringing, you are done. So here it is. Let me fold it up here so we can see it better. Remember, you can use it as a shawl, rectangle shawl. It's a nice size rectangle shawl. Or you can do the fold in half and button it up as a poncho like I showed you before. But that's it. We're done. That's all there is to it. I think it turned out super, super pretty. I really like the colors that I chose. I think it would look beautiful on any color though. And I think it's neat that you can wear it as a poncho or a shawl, you know, depending on what outfit you're wearing or how you're feeling that day. If you're feeling poncho-y or shawl-y, it's up to you. You can choose. But I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Remember, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like this project, you enjoyed it, you enjoyed my video. I always appreciate the thumbs up. Give it a share if you can. That always helps me out. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of my videos, whether they be tutorials, yarn talk in general. I really like to talk about yarn, giveaways. I do all kinds of stuff on my channel, and you don't want to miss out on any of it. Also, on the right hand side of the screen right now, you're going to see a picture or a playlist of all my other ponchos and stuff like that. If you want to check that out, maybe you'll see some tutorials on there that you haven't seen, because I do have hundreds of tutorials and sometimes they get lost. So go ahead and give that a peek if you will. But that's it. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good day.